Tamara Caulder Richardson, and welcome to the Seeking Heaven channel.
Hello, how is your day? I'm Tamara, and I hope you are having a fantastic day. And before we get to our guest, which I am really excited about, you're going to just love her, just like I did the first time I met her on her channel. I want to go over a couple announcements, and then I'm going to introduce our fabulous guest. So a couple things. I want to mention that please sign up and register for the Galactic Origins Cruise. That is December 14th through the 21st. There are some rooms still available on this cruise. I will be there speaking, as well as a ton of we've got about 20 something speakers that are phenomenal. So you will receive an activation just by being there, and support and love from people that think just like you and will support you. Because as we know, not everybody that we grew up with really see us for the new and improved version of our starseed self that we are. So please join us. Also, sign up for my Ascension School, Academy of Divine Wisdom. I have several free and paid for classes there, including a 30-minute Christ-like meditation where I take you to that NDE light, and hopefully you should get a little high on that. And I use it to calm myself. It's really nice. And I have other things like connecting to divine wisdom. I also offer starseed services, activation, soul discovery, Akashic readings, angelic readings, as well as coaching. And finally, evidential mediumship. This is something I do a lot of, as well as Akashic readings and channeling that do come through and these evidential mediumship. But I like to start with the evidence so then we can move forward into the more esoteric ranges of things. So, and then finally, check out my Seeking Heaven channel store. I have custom artwork there, and buy a galactic shirt or a galactic cup. All right. So now on to our guest, which I'm super excited about, and you are going to be too once you know her. And we're going to learn the ins and outs today of Debbi Dachinger. She is the podcast host of Dare to Dream. I was just on her channel, I think 2 weeks ago, and totally fell in love with her. She's amazing. And I really loved her family, which came through. I did a reading on the spot. And her family is also very lovely. You really get to know a person also by their family, and they were fantastic. Debbi is an accomplished speaker, as well as a shamanic energy practitioner. She is, she does so much. She's a musician. Comes from a line of musicians and is in a band of her own band called Lions of Lyra. She is we're going to talk more about each of these different categories. We're not going to talk about this one probably, but she is a certified wine specialist, which might be really handy on the Galactic Origins Cruise at the end of the seminar. So I want to know more about that. She also is a publicist for those that are seeking to publish their own book and want it to do well and to be seen, and she can assist with that. She's a publicist. There are so many things. I don't even know if I could cover everything she does, but she has this amazing podcast where she covers many different topics. You got to check that out, Dare to Dream. I have all her information below, as well as DebbiDachinger.com. So I'm going to bring Debbi on. Hello, how are you? If you go on the Galactic Origins Cruise, we'll both be there. We'll both be speaking. And you're going to also be performing right, your band as well, which I can't wait.
Because we each have 2 slots, and I'm really excited about that, because a lot of people, and it's interesting, I have a huge contingency of folks who know me as that. I've been a singer my whole life. The inception of my being was as an actress and singer until well into my adulthood. I did that professionally. And then, I made a very conscious choice to let it go when I got into radio, when everything started to change for me. And then it came back. The divine actually had a drop in a drive-by and said, whoa, whoa, what do I do with this? So yes, I sing. Our band is called Lions of Lyra, and my presentation, one of them on the ship, is going to be shamans, extraterrestrials, where they intersect, why that information is incredibly important for right now, for humanity and the earth. And then I'm also doing a shamanic healing on the group. And then for my second time slot, Rob, my partner, and I will be performing a concert and also a galactic sound bath. So it's going to be just yummy.
Oh, that sounds great. And plus, too, I love to see when creative people, musicians, are in their they're in their state and they're doing their thing, because I get to see this expanded, multidimensional soul coming out. I just think it's really, I mean, if they're really present when they do it, and I know you are, and I just love seeing that. So I'm excited about it. So, all right, let's talk about you today, Debbie. I know that you do a lot, and I know that you speak, and you've been speaking. You're speaking in this conference. I wanted to know how it all started, and I know you're a creative person. I'm a creative person. I married a musician. I'm an artist. I own an ad agency, so I'm creative. However, how did the spiritual journey start? How did it start unfolding? Was there any pivotal moments that really kind of woke you up into seeking this direction?
100%. Yes, yes, yes. My dear Tamara, I was spiritual my whole life. I was born this way. Like Lady Gaga, I was born this way for sure. And even when I was a little girl, books in my family, that was the gift we got. My mom would take me to a bookstore and say, "What do you want?" And I mean, I was like this big, and I go, "Tarot, astrology." I loved all of that. I was fascinated by it all. I think I was probably born gifted, but I shut a lot of things down because I saw things I couldn't understand. And some of them were very scary to me as a little girl.
Sure.
Plus, I grew up in a pretty dark, like traumatic experience. And so I think that contributed a lot rather than a lot of light kind of experiences. So always been this way. My awakenings were, I would say, two. The first one was 17 years ago. I left acting and singing and started a radio show. How that transition happened is I was doing voiceover work for cartoons. I loved it. I could sing as a cartoon. I was making great money.
Oh, that is a cool thing. I never knew that about you.
Oh my God, you have no idea the voices that live
My
inside
gosh,
of me.
were you a powder puff girl? I love them.
I know, but I did like hilarious things. Character work is really what I'm meant for. And so I would do like Southern Black women. I would do all sorts of stuff, whatever channeled through me for the fish or whatever it was I was being. And I loved this work so much. I had an agent and I was being sent out for really dry stuff like narration, commercials. And my heart wasn't in it. My heart was into like playing and doing cartoons. And so I saw this ad for radio and I thought, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And I got the job. And so I was here in Burbank doing radio at a real station. People would come to the station, I'd interview them. And so I was doing Dare to Dream. That's how my show started. And so my first awakening was about 6 months into doing my show. And I was noticing like, if I had a coach come on my show, it kind of was interesting, but really it fell flat for me. But then I'd have someone come on who channeled or who does the kind of work you do, or, all these amazing spiritual people, gifted people out there. And I was like, oh my God, bing, bing, bing. I never knew this my whole life. My greatest spiritual value is spirituality above everything else. Family, friends, love, spirituality. I switched everything aligned with that upon that recognition that I'd been in the closet. And I said, oh my God, I have to go full throttle into this. This is why I'm built. So that was a big awakening. Actually, there's three. The second one was along the lines, there was a woman who was a psychic who was on my show. And we did a call. And during the break, she said, when we're done, I want you to hang on for a minute. I have something to tell you. The show was done. We went to commercial and she said, there's something about you don't know. And I would like you to look up the word clairsentient, claircognizant. I'd never heard those words. And she said, and then call me in about 3 days. I got on Google, my best friend Google, and oh my God, blew my mind. Had no idea. She changed my life. And all of a sudden, just the enormity of who I was and was capable of, I really owned it in that moment. I said, that's beautiful. I can start playing with those gifts. So that was big. And then the third part was more recent because I used to, I've always been a very open-minded skeptic and an eye roller. And so there were certain things I just was like, ugh, really? About UFOs and ETs was them. I couldn't bear the conversation. I didn't get it. I had no context. And I went off to do plant medicine. I've done a bit, I'll just say, but it was my second foray. I went out of country, and for 4 nights, back to back, we did plant medicine. I had extraordinary things happen during this experience, healing, all sorts of things. But the prevalent idea to your question, Tamara, is the first night the divine came and said to me, Debbi, you're a shaman, you're a healer, and you're a priestess. And I argued with her and I said, no, I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a healer, a shaman. What are you kidding? I mean, what they go through. And she was so beautiful and gentle. And every night she came and it was like a mantra. And every night she said the same thing. And she showed me a different aspect. And she culminated this on the last night by insisting that I went up to the shaman running and facilitating this and telling them I needed a shaman's blessing, meaning, bless me, I'm a shaman. So for 20 minutes, I argued with her. I'm not going to do that. That's so embarrassing. She insisted, and I finally was exhausted. I said, okay. And they gave me that blessing. When I came back, I was extremely confused. And a friend said, let me do some work with you. He wanted to do some regressions, and I didn't believe in him. I was like, oh, good.
So you're hard-headed too. Me too. I get it. Okay, go ahead.
And it worked. It worked. He was so good and different than other people who had done it in the past. And I absolutely saw profound experiences of me as a shaman in many different lifetimes. And the last session we had, I saw myself as a priestess, as a leader of the Mayan, specifically Mayan people. And I was over 7 feet tall, nothing like I am personality-wise. And I asked her before I left, like, how do you do what you do? Because I never saw anyone create like this. And she said, I'm not from here. I'm from another galaxy. So I came out, boof. I was like, wow, okay. I accept the truth. There are other cosmos, galaxies, beings, and that opened that whole shamanically and cosmically, all of that. I was a heck yes, zero resistance, complete curiosity. So those are my 3 reference points, big, big changes for me.
Well, those are big. And a lot, that last one you described, some people are going through that right now. So this is really healthy for them to hear this. Now, that last one, when you normally would be skeptical, but you knew, I suppose this is true. This feels right. This is true. And then your whole life now is just to match that and to seek more of that. How long ago did you say wasn't 17 years ago, was it?
No, that was
the third one.
5 years ago.
Okay, mine happened around the same time. Oh, it's interesting. I asked this because I'm asking other people. It's a similar, same spiritual path, always an oddball, loved reading Edgar Cayce at 12 years old, didn't hang out with the other kids. Yeah, looking at these astrological books. Yeah, same thing. I would buy, the Ryan centers near me that got the Zener cards, the circle, the triangle, all that. Same thing. But, why do you think that so many of us, including yourself, it really is a call to step up into your mission? Why is that, do you feel, so important right now?
Oh, it's everything right now. It's why, well, here's the short answer. It's what our soul agreed to. This is how I envision it in a kind of cartoon world, that all our souls are up wherever that is, right? There's no really up and there's no really heaven.
Sure.
But we're in the ether of the all that is beautifulness. And our perfect, complete souls are running around. And then an announcement comes out and it says, calling all souls, we have a huge mission. There's a planet called Earth. And there's going to be hell. It's going to be chaos. The Earth's going to go through a lot, and humanity's going to go through chaos and turmoil. who wants to go down there to right the ship? And we're like, I do.
I know.
And there's all these people, and there's a waiting line that didn't get accepted, but we did. We rolled up our sleeves and said, pick me. And they said, yep. So that's my short answer. And I think when you say there's people out there, Tamara, who are listening and may resonate, my experience is that it's from 0 to 100. Like I didn't have a meandering kind of awakening, and it wasn't brutal. Right. It's been gorgeous, fabulous. Right. And the more I learn, the more there is to learn. So I think it is because we agreed and because it is needed right now, and getting all the stuff out of the way. I don't want to be visible. I don't know what to, all the doubts, which are really BS. We know what to do. We need to just step it up and step into it.
Right. If everyone did their next step, imagine how it would help everybody else, because there was someone before us, right? They had to step it up and they turned us on, and then we're turning others on. I mean, it just keeps going. I mean, this is the whole point of this unity consciousness and love, to help in this way. So once this came to you, you've studied with some, I want to go here with the shamanism. I really want to get some clarity on that, because I do know a lot of shamans, but honestly, that's not my bailiwick. So I want to find out more about it. And I know that you've studied with some very well-known people, and I probably will ruin their names. I know. Now, I do know Dr. Alberto Villando. He has several books out. I know that. But there's others. What is it? Moinwa Key Writes. And did I ruin that? Why don't you say it? Okay. There's more. And tell me how this happened and your training, how that happened, what you learned, what you feel about shamanism now.
Yeah. So in the after effects of what I learned, I realized, at some point, well, why don't I just get information? And if I get information, I can sign up for a program and start learning more. I joined Dr. Alberto Villando, and his organization is called the Four Winds. It's a 6-month, extremely not for the faint of heart, 6 months program. I say it's not for the faint of heart because you have to add 10 to 30 extra hours, that we're talking about me, to your life. And I knew in my heart, you don't ask how, you feel it, just do it. And I'm so grateful because I showed up for the information, but what happened is I'm not even the same person who joined and was there the first day, because you're constantly practicing these shamanic techniques and you have to do it with other students outside of the class. What I learned, my God, an entire practice that I use today when I do my groups. I have a lot of group experiences. I sometimes do private sessions with people, and they get to experience what I did. Your whole nervous system gets rewired, trauma gets released, phenomenal capacity, easier to align with why we're here. Gorgeous practice. And I've done groups, like, just to connect this with what people get. I've done practices with groups and taken them through, for instance, there's something called the despacho ceremony. And it literally gets rid of stuff, patterns no longer serving you, and brings in what you prefer. And I have a gal who was in my class who still writes me to this day, having used that despacho in the group, and says, oh my God, I just manifested the home I wanted. I'm moving next week. She changed her business because of it. And so it's such a blessing to see people, up level and be happy. When I was done with that, yes.
No. I was going to say, we have a portal day coming up, and this is kind of the stuff, the shadow work that we want to get rid of.
That's right.
So these are the things that, and they're essay shadow. That's such. I don't like that word. The fact is, we have underlying either trauma, dogma, or programming that we need to deprogram so we can live our best, truest self, right? And what you're saying, this does handle it.
Yeah. And I'm doing a healing, by the way, every time I speak now. I always give, story and information, a lot of education. And then I always do a shamanic healing on the group. And so, yes, when I was done with the 6 months, I promised myself, my God, woman, you need time off. So what did I do? I went right into the next program.
And then, of course you did. Overachiever. I mean, I'm thinking of SpongeBob. I totally get it.
So I did the Moon Key Writes. That's gorgeous. Oh my God, powerful, gorgeous. I get to initiate people because now I'm a Moonai rights practitioner. Initiate people. There's even a Moonai rights rite that is called the Star Keeper. So I can initiate people into their star being, their future evolved self. Poof, big time.
Oh, that is cool.
All of these experiences are so gorgeous. And from there, I was aware of, because of my show, and my show specifically, Dare to Dream, is about channeling, it's about extraterrestrials, and it's about shamanism. And so those are the people I have on. And I had previously had on Puma Freddy Quispe, Singona Quispe. And I was like, he's from Peru. And I was like, oh my God, this man. So I took his program and I learned animal spirit medicine, which is fabulous.
Oh.
And then I wanted so much for so long to work with Don Oscar Miro Quezada. And interesting, they all from Peru, all from the Incas, all from the Andes. I didn't plan this, but there's something there.
Mhm.
And so I did a retreat with Don Oscar in person. And now I'm in his 1-year program, Pachacuti Mesa Tradition. And the last person who I will go back and work with again is a woman, also from Peru, same lineage, named Rosalba, who lives in my town. And we used to meet for 8 months in the woods. And she would take me through all of this shamanic training. And the final time we got together, she was taking me on a journey inside of a cave. And very unexpectedly, while I was in the cave and I was deep into this journey with her, she was saying something. And all of a sudden I heard a roar. And I turned around and looked up to my right. And there was the most exquisite but giant bear, brown bear, definitely a male. And he was roaring and my hair was blowing. And I never felt fear. I felt like, oh my God, my friend is here. And he got down on all fours and he would not leave my side. And so she doesn't know what's going on. She's taking me through this journey. And when she's done, she's taking me back out through the cave. And then, of course, back to the woods with her. And she asked me some pointed questions at the end. And I said, something happened. And there was this huge brown bear. And when you were taking me out of the cave, I said, okay, thank you. I need to go now. And the bear said, oh, no, I'm not, telepathically, of course, I'm not leaving your side. And so she said, my God, you just met your spirit animal. And I was like, a brown bear? And I followed her instructions and looked up the meaning. And I was like, oh, it's everything I've wanted my whole life. Loyalty, protection, gentility, and ferocity. This level of love, never leave your side. I got your back, front, and whatever. And I'm your friend. Like, we'll go out and have honey together and have a good time too. So what a beautiful experience this has been.
Oh, wow. It's interesting. And I just see so many parallels, even though differences in our life. But the fact is that I've met several shamans, but I have so much respect for you that when you're like me, like I'm not just going to do it. Like I had abilities, you had abilities, you knew that. That's why you did it. You went and studied with these named people because not only did you want to go deeper, but you wanted to be truly authentically you, engulfed in this information, giving it to you straight. But you wanted to be able to have an excellence, just like you do in your podcast. That's why I study with famous mediums and channelers and trance channelers. It was, people could not do some of the stuff. It was, I have faces on top of my faces, like you said, the bear and the star self. This is not for the weak because it's very deep level healing, right? And so how can you be a way shower if you don't go through it first? So that's what I said before the show, why I admire you so much. Remember that little conversation? That's right. I know I seem like I say nice things, but actually it all ties in because you do the work. I said you do the work. Remember? You do the work. And very few people, and let me just tell you this, when I had my superpower class, I mean, no, there were beautiful people that came in my class, not those people, but a lot of people they were not willing to do the work. They're not willing to. I said, I don't care if you're wrong. I don't care what happens. I don't care. I'm here for you. It's okay. But they're not willing to put themselves out there. And that goes back to your message of put yourself out there, right? Follow your next step. Do it. Most people are chicken, or they just, I hate to say this word, but they're lazy. They're really, really lazy. And the other shamans are like, well, I'm a shaman. But I'm like, no. She put herself through that. You didn't go in a cave and meet a bear. I mean, so I do want to say something. I don't know how you feel about this, and not to knock anyone, God bless anyone doing a spiritual path. But there are people that are dabblers in the spiritual community, and there are people that are professionals, and that must be the same also in shamanism too. Not to name names because I don't really know anybody. I know known people, but I feel that way about what I do. No, they're not the same. They're not the same. They don't work for months and their own money and all this time and effort. They don't do that. Speak on professional spiritualism for a minute, because you're a professional. How did this change you after and you're still in this program with far as, because you're putting yourself at this next level? Because I did that too. I didn't have to do that. Talk about professionalism and spirituality.
Yeah. I'll just say, in regards to shamanism, I don't call myself a shaman. In fact, no real shamans call themselves a shaman. And there's a reason. There's a deep respect. And because they never claimed it themselves, a shaman never wakes up and says, I think I'll be a shaman in this lifetime. Never. In fact, they probably often run the other way. It's things that befall them unexpectedly. It comes from the community, it comes from spirit, and it comes from lineage. And once that is made clear, they go through an initiation that is very difficult, like years and decades of training. But the initiatory experience means a near-death experience, ta-da. It means a mental illness. It means being struck by lightning. Trauma. Or meeting a ferocious animal that eats you, dismembers you, and then blows you back into being and becomes your protector. And that's just one step. But they shapeshift. They can talk to everything. Everything is real. The plants. They don't look at it and go, oh, plant, or I'm going to step on this. They literally communicate. They transcend this reality and go to others. So why I do what I do, I have been told, I was thinking about this while you shared, Tamara, I've been told many times by people who read, who say, you don't need to do that anymore. You've done this many lifetimes. You've got this.
Well, I would never say that. I would never say that.
Like, I know my truth, and I'm passionate about this. And so I'm following my bliss. That's all I know. And it's very blissful for me to be immersed in this work and learning this path. It's humbling. And the only thing that irks me, I will say, is people today banty about that name, and it's very disrespectful. Some people say, well, I'm trying to think of the many words. I'm a vocal.
What about witch doctor? How about that one?
Well, I have no connection to that.
I know, I've heard that, but see, I'm just saying, people say, I get horrible things what I say. I mean, you're a necromancer. I'm like, no, that was actually a different practice used back then. It's not the same thing. No, actually, they're not dead.
Yes,
anyway,
exactly. Like the title, I know they think it's clever and maybe it'll bring people in, but it's a completely misalignment. You can't say I'm a galactic shaman. Like, no, you're not, right? But I understand. I can say I'm a galactic practitioner because I'm certified and it's true. Mm-hmm. Or I'm a shamanic energy practitioner. It's true. I'm certified. Or I'm a Moonite key rights practitioner. But I would never flat out say shaman, mm-hmm. not mine, not mm-hmm. anybody's, right? So that's the stuff where I get kind of wonky, is the trying to be clever with names that don't belong to you.
So now, that was how long ago, the training and the shamanic practices of really high orders?
3 years, yeah. And the really interesting thing for me has been that, I'm trying to remember the timeline because it's been really wild. About I don't know timelines, right? Time right now. But I will say that starting last year, now, by the way, let me clear up what I do. When we say publicist, I am not a book publisher. I am not. What I do is help coach people to write their book. So I've got an ongoing group. We meet twice a month through Zoom from anywhere in the world. And I say anyone can join, but really who I attract is me. Spiritual messengers are the ones who come to my sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And they work on their book, and they're doing extraordinary work. And they go from kind of author to really pretty damn good. And
Mm-hmm.
so I do that. The other thing I do is take books to guaranteed international bestseller. This is actually important. And then the third thing is where publicist comes in is I've got a handful of spiritual messengers who I represent. And I book them as a PR agent specifically on podcasts. So I get them booked for interviews. Now, am I happy? Have I been happy? Thrilled. I love who I work with. I feel very fortunate. And I'm also passionate because I know this work very well. I've done all of this. That said, starting, it was over a year ago, it started with getting an email from the UFOlogy event that was going to be taking place, a World UFOlogy event taking place in Mexico City, inviting me to speak. And I'm like, me? Okay. Well, God, it's about UFOs. So I guess I've spoken on stage about books and being visible in media. Well, okay, I could go there and speak about UFOs and extraterrestrials, and I've experienced all that now. So I agree to do that. And it's like, I am telling you, Tamara, I know how to pitch. I pitch clients. I never pitched myself. And starting then, right after that, GAIA TV reached out and said, George Noory wants to interview you. And then Jeff Morrow, who we've talked about, and then multiple other podcasts. Again, no pitching, no submitting. I don't know, a multitude of stages I've spoken on at this point keeps coming. And I could keep going on what my next 8 months are like. And I have stuff planned deeply into next year that I've been invited to really significant stages and platforms. GAIA TV just invited me back again on George Noory's show. And I am telling you, I'm sitting here and I literally have thought, is it the extraterrestrials who are being my publicist right now? And they are promoting me? Because what is going on? And it is like, Debbi, this is what you came here to talk about. The shamanism, the ETs, the finally having open contact. This is your mission, what you came to sing out loud. And so we're going to present, and I have been, no matter how reticent I am, because I'm born under the sign of Cancer, right? With a Scorpio moon.
Oh my gosh, that's my husband.
And so there's a reticence about me because I'll shine a light on you. And have I had to come out of my shell big time and just trust, right? If these opportunities are presenting, I must have the salt and pepper to make it taste good.
Well, all you have to worry about is your next one. Does it feel right? Yes, it does. Does it terrify me? Yes, it does. Am I supposed to do it? Yes, I am. And then you just do the next one. And, when you get to the point at where it starts feeling magical, then you're on your path.
Yes.
And then you meet these magical people.
Yes.
I say magical, like it's just like if you could handpick them, there they are. And they get you without you having to explain yourself. And of course, we all know how validating that is for someone to really get you. Usually when that person gets us, we usually marry them. But to really, to kind of live that life, I never thought 4+ years ago, I never thought that I would be here talking about aliens and Jesus, being an abductee and contactee, seeing UFOs. And now what's the crazy part, and ditto sister, is that I have other people. I can always see other people, right, what they were. But now I have people coming up to me and say, I get you. I see you. I see you. And I'm going, oh, I never really thought it worked the other way too. And this is why it's so much more rewarding to live your your authentic self, and you don't really necessarily know where it's going to go, but you trust in the universe. And when opportunities are presented, you just show up. I had a friend years ago, years ago, out of college, and he was much older than me. He goes, I'm going to give you some advice. He was like really good at sales. And he goes, half the battle is just showing up. Most people don't even show up. Just show up. And that's what you're doing. You're just showing up to your next thing, and you don't even know how that's going to evolve. I mean, right? Really none of us do, because things are happening so quickly. And it's like time, space is speeded up. It's because our consciousness, I think, is pulling that closer for things to occur, because I think everybody's going to, and don't like the old way. I'm ready for the new way. And so you're an example of that. And I also want to speak to the feminine aspect. You being a woman, nowadays it's the divine feminine that is really coming forward, and it's especially not. It's also a help to men too, I believe. But this God is part of you. I saw the priestess in you a long time ago.
Part of the prophecy that we're living in right now. I mean, what we're living in, to your point there's a frequency happening. People can call it ascension, 5D, all these words that are so beautiful in the beginning, but they become bop, bop after a while because they're said so much and sometimes out of context. But there is no doubt, we all feel it physically and emotionally, there is a complete frequency change. And so we can match it, right? Which is what we're doing right now. We are matching it to become who we were meant to be. It's a big deal to let go like that. And the divine feminine, thank you for bringing that up, because absolutely, if you look at the Peruvians, at the Incas, they have a prophecy called the Pachacuti tradition. Pachacuti, Pacha like Pachamama, means earth, but it also means time. And Kuti means the time of change, Pachacuti. And it comes every 500 years. And the Inca people, very ancient people, said there will come a Pachacuti. And during that time, everything will change. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be madness, but it is necessary because we must come out of the industrial age. What does industrial mean? Working too hard all the time.
Yes, yeah,
doing too much, doing. But it's also about going from the head to the heart, the longest walk most people will ever take. It is also about healing, because as within, so without, right? We do our own work. What are we bringing to the party? What doesn't work in our lives? What relationships are wonky? We find Aini. Aini is right relationship with all things, and we make it right. We're here to heal past life, this life trauma, ancestral trauma. Very important to heal. You're doing the work for your people, literally, collectively on the planet, but also for your lineage. And when you do that, what happens? You come out here and everything's different. It's changing too by virtue of the inner work you did. And the other piece of the Pachacuti prophecy is the rise of the divine feminine in all of us. Men have divine feminine and masculine. Women have divine feminine and masculine. And that because we're going into more receptive, caring, loving, healing era of being, this is imminent. This is imperative. And so to invite that in and even start doing work around that, to become the goddesses we are, the priestesses we are, for the men to admire that, right? And build that up, but also for them to go to the softer side.
Oh, yeah. For them to be that side of that's also in there. And, I would say the more creative types, that's why I always like musicians and stuff, are like that. They're a little bit more in touch with that. But the fact is, I think all men are, but they need to know that it's okay. Women, it's okay to be powerful. And you're not considered the B word if you are. That is bad
Beyonce?
Control.
Are you thinking of
Beyonce?
Beyonce?
Oh yeah. 2 snaps for that.
I like to be called Beyonce.
That's what I meant. Exactly. But yeah, and I mean, that's just bad control. And I think that's those old programming that's leaving. That's gone.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about your higher self and us getting there, honestly, you know what I think? I mean, we came from another planet. We were our higher self. We just forgot. We've been here so freaking long. We got that little call, that little ding, ding, ding. Earth needs help. Goody, and it's been so long, but we are just trying to get back to kind of where we were to have full cognition. This is a weird thing to say as a kid, but you know what my thing was in this life is as I can remember. I mean, this is kind of deep for a kid to be self-realized. Tell us about, now I want to know the ETs. So tell me about the Starseed connection and awakening with you and how that started manifesting.
But I have a mind like a very curious child. Then as time went on, I started putting patterns together. I had this decision, like this thing came in and it went, oh my God, the shamanic way. There's information here that nobody realizes that will change the timeline we're on, change the course of humanity. And it has to do with extraterrestrials. So I put together, God knows how many questions, through my mind, through my curiosity. And I asked 6 different, very well-known people, Lee from Cryon, Rob Gauthier, some of the other people I met.
Yeah.
Everybody said yes to my project. None of them knew the other was going to do it. And they did it all at different times. They had no idea. They're busy people. And I asked them all the same questions. And I was like vibrating with what I was learning because I was hearing over and over and over again the same information, how absolutely accurate this download was, specifics about shamanism that was so important for all of us to know, when first open undeniable contact with ETs is going to happen, and so forth. I had the great fortune of going to do contact work, literal contact work, whether we did it on our own out in Joshua Tree, and that had a significant result. Just some friends driving back because nothing happened, but we had a good time driving back in the truck on the freeway, and all of a sudden, bam, there is a spacecraft.
No way. It's like answer to your questions. Hello.
Yes.
Right.
And so that was a whole experience. Nobody else in the freeway saw it, but us 2 did. It was clearly for us. Several times, Rob, my partner, and I have been driving like from San Diego to LA, and bam, spacecraft. Freeway is interesting here. Daryl Anka also and Lisa had experiences like that. I have seen the ETs in my dreams. Very beautiful, white, all light, white, we're family. And just lineage wise, I am originally from the Elohim. I am the daughter of the On High, like literally the daughter of the On High. And I will tell you, my dear, today, you and I were both on a program. And the beginning of this program had a woman, I don't need to say her name, it doesn't matter, because I just want to say what's germane to the story, but she did a channeling from the Elohim. And she sang and she did light activation. When she was done, I was knocked out, gobsmacked. And when she was done, I wanted to get up to get something to eat. I thought I was complete. Turns out I wasn't complete with hosting this thing. But I almost passed out. I went in the kitchen and we had to sit me down and get me some food and get me some water and breathe and put my head between my knees. I've never had that happen. But I think that connection with the Elohim, like whatever she did, holy moly.
Was it the Vox?
Yes.
Okay, so get this. So Vox was on Neil's Portal to Ascension's channel, and she came on. This was the Star Beings back in January. So I was co-hosting. She came on. She came on saying, I'm crying like crazy. She says something. I start speaking Enochian to her. To my, like, okay. She replied in Enochian, and I went back to Enochian. It's angelic language.
Oh, I never heard of it.
Yeah. And I was told a while back I was a seraphim. And I asked Jesus that. He goes, all you need to know is you have the essence of seraphim. I said, well, what does that mean? If I had the full thing, I'd blow up. He goes, something like that. Do you know what I mean? The frequency is too high. But I think several of us decided from the creator realms to come down to help this. And then we've forgotten. It's kind of a shame, isn't it? We forgot. But this is why the band's back together. We're all coming back together because we need all of us. We need not all of us. all of us, but we need all of us that remember to come back and play this game. We need to be able to shift into a higher timeline. And so, but yeah, she did it for me. But I think it's ecstasy. I think what it is to me was like euphoric and ecstasy. Is that what you experienced when you heard it? Like ecstasy? Like,
yeah. I was in so many realms. I mean, first I almost got emotional, but then that transitioned really fast to just receiving. And then I became fascinated to watch her. And then as a singer, I mean, as a technician, I'm listening to her be in these gorgeous operatic notes.
Amazing.
Go down into this deep, lower, rich, like, and then I became aware she is singing, then she switched. Oh my God, she's singing the divine masculine, she's singing the divine feminine, and now they're going back and forth like this. And then she starts speaking, and I mean, those were activation codes, and I am
100%. But see, for you to know that, you got activated to know. So there's different levels. So I'm like, where is this going? And the same thing when I asked questions, I started seeing physical UFOs. And my husband saw it too. By our car, big. Okay.
Wow.
Like 5. And then I saw a huge one by me. I had to get on UFO specialists. Like now Craig Campobasso, he told me, explain things Preston didn't. Because I'm like, what? And then having memories of all sorts of stuff, including my trips to the Galactic Federation, which have been going on. Yeah, but we can't remember things all at once because maybe we're not ready for it. So we have to just do that next layer, taking off to what we're ready. And so I don't want someone to freak out, that's here and going, I don't know if I'm ready for all this. Well, you're going to just be ready for whatever you're ready for.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm thinking as you say that, we are living in density. It's a very different vibration than I think we're organically used to when we're not in these 3D suits and this 3D planet. And so I think when you say about us remembering or how much we remember, I think we're probably operating in perfection right now until we reunite with our full self, our oversoul. Very beautiful. And it's very beautiful to understand these things. And I'm actually it's not www, it's HTTPS.
Oh, okay.
But I think www might get you there anyway.
It does.
Perfect.
It does.
As long as you do Debbi Dachinger.
Just use it. Just go there. And make sure that you check out her YouTube, Dare to Dream. Thank you for being on the Seeking Heaven channel. And I can't wait to give you a big hug on the Galactic Origins Cruise. Everybody sign up. And you get to meet Debbi as well. Thank you so much, Debbi.
I love you. You know this. And people, you should weigh in on the comments because I'd love to hear. Don't you think it would be freaking hilarious if Tamara and I had a show together? No guests, no theme. And all we did was talk back and forth for an hour or so. I think it would be a freaking series.
Cosmic divas explode. just let it rip. Just let it be raw. Just say whatever. We'll talk about our fears, our anxieties. They're like, oh my gosh, they're real people. I'm like, yeah. Totally. So that would be funny. Yeah, it's true. We're so many similarities, even with the radio. And my dad was in radio and broadcast. I mean, it's just so many. I'm married to a musician. So many similarities. So thank you so much for your time. I know that you're still tired from coming back overseas, and I appreciate you and love you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sweetheart, so much. It's been great to be on the show.
Thank you.
Please subscribe, like, and make comments, and support this channel by becoming a member. Thank you for your continued support.